This Sunday is Father's Day. Our relationships with our fathers is one of those primary relationships that we have in our life that shapes us. It shapes our views of ourselves, our views of other people, our views of life, and our views of love. It writes a big part of the script of our self-worth and our relationships with conflict, decision-making, and intimacy. Sons learn how to be men, and daughters learn how to relate to men. So with Father's Day coming up, it's a good time to reflect on these. Here are some things to ask yourself or think about as Father's Day approaches. How has your father taught you to be a man? How to express yourself? How to make decisions or resolve conflicts? How has your father taught you to love? And if you're a parent, how has he taught you to father? Do you strive to be like him, or do you want to show up differently in your life? And if so, how would you begin to do that? What can you dedicate yourself to doing every day towards that? How has your relationship with your father shaped your self-worth? How has the connection with him affected your vulnerability with men? Affected your choice of partners, friendships with men, your relationships with your children? Is your connection with your father something you want to emulate with the men in your life, or is there something you need to repair in order to optimize those connections? And if so, what are those deeper points that continue to hurt you? How would you need to think, feel, and do differently to free yourself from any of the wounding experiences or scripts attached to your relationship with your father? Think about this. Are you doing the very best you can to guide and connect with and show interest in and communicate with your children? If so, great. This is your day. Happy Father's Day. But if not, then ask yourself, what do you need to do to close the gaps, fix the pain, and be more involved? After our romantic relationships and connections, our relationships with our children are the most powerful mirror into our souls. And when that mirroring happens with the people in our lives, it's an opportunity to deal with our innermost, deepest conflicts and wounds in order to create a better life from ourselves and more fulfilling relationships. And in this case, being able to give your children the gift of unconditional love. And if you've lost your father, let me spend the last couple of moments just talking about grief. Grief is often like walking down a beach and we get hit with waves. At the beginning of a loss, the waves that hit us are frequent and high and deep. And as we move through the grief, the waves slowly get farther apart. Emotional pain and emotional grief in particular can build and peak and break just like a wave. And I don't know if any of you have been caught in the undertow, but for those of us who have, we know what it's like. The water washes over us, we lose our footing, we can't find the surface, we can't breathe. Sailors believe that every seventh wave in the ocean is higher. I don't even know if that's been tested or not, but that's the belief. So anniversaries or special days can be difficult. Father's Day is one of those seventh waves. We know it's coming and we can get prepared for it. We need to remember that just like a wave, it will build and it will peak and it will be breaking. We need to find a way to breathe through the wave. And when there is specific grief over the loss due to death, we want to do a couple of things. And in the work that I do with clients, I've seen several things that can be helpful. One is more concrete and tangible, where we find rituals, whether it's visits to cemeteries, or we have practical pieces around us like pictures or mementos that'll facilitate the grief for us. And on other occasions, it can be helpful to think of it in more abstract ways, such as thinking about the legacy our fathers left behind for us and being inspired by those legacies to live as good a life as we can. When our relationships with our fathers have been difficult, sometimes we need to find ways to neutralize that grief, discover ways of how to understand his life and his journey, and depersonalize and move through any of the pain he may have caused you. This isn't a pass, but it's a way of working towards greater peace and acceptance for yourself. So happy Father's Day, and thanks for listening.